Nemo Radio is on the air.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Hey, it's John Nemo. Welcome back. I'm eavesdropping right now, so this is so funny. I was planning on recording something else, but I got a riff on this because I'm sneaking and listening to my wife on a phone call. Do you remember the 80s? I'm just thinking of eavesdropping on phone calls. Like, now you can kind of overhear people if they're on their iPhone and the speaker's loud or whatever, and you can just hear conversations. But in the 80s, you had to be really sneaky. Like, you had the corded landline telephones on different floors, and you'd, somebody would call for your older sister, and you'd be like, hey, you'd scream upstairs or downstairs, pick it up, it's your stupid friend, whatever. And then you would, your sibling would pick up the phone, and then you could, listen in, if you covered the mouthpiece. And then if your sibling was smart, they'd be like, hang it up, hang it up. My dad used to do this to taunt me. This is a great teenage memory. And I'm riffing, but you don't mind. You're here for entertainment. 80s me in high school. So my friend Brad Schwee would call. I would be down in the basement. My dad would be up on the second floor or something, landline telephone, and my dad would be like, hey, and Brad would be like, hey, is John there? And my dad was a total jokester and prankster, so he would always say to Brad, because he knew it would get him going, he'd say, I don't know, Brad, he's down in the basement in his cage. I just threw some raw meat down there, so I'm not sure, how things are looking. And Brad would just start giggling like crazy. And then I would hear... I would pick up the phone and hear my dad doing the antics because, the phone rings, you can pick up any line and then just jump into the conversation with landlines. And I'd be like, Dad, I got it. Hang up. And I'd be like, hang it up. Because, teenage me, I don't want my idiot dad listening into my, big plans with Brad Schwee. Brad would still be giggling, and then it would be silence. And then my dad would say, do you think he wants me to hang up now? And then Brad would just explode with another round of laughing, and I would scream even more, hang up the phone! My dad, it's so great because now that I'm the dad and I have teenagers, I just live to embarrass them. I live to embarrass them in front of their friends. It's so awesome. Just embarrassing them, being that guy. So shout out to my dad. I remember that well. So anyway, I'm eavesdropping on my wife. And it reminded me of a great, great, great lesson, a critical lesson really around sales and why people buy. And it never changes. So the story with my wife is, we've got kids now. We're at a stage of life where we've got teenagers and they're driving, right? And so we have one decent car, one nice car, one car from the 21st century. And then we have a really, really old, I would say, it's still okay. It's a 2012 Toyota Camry, right? And so it's over a decade old. It doesn't have all the hip new sensors and safety features and cameras and, alerts and robots. It's just a car, right? And so I remember when I bought the 2012 Camry, I was upgrading from a 1994 Saturn, which was like driving a plastic go-kart with, the hamsters running in a wheel to get the engine to go. If you ever drove a 94 Saturn, that thing was literally you could outrun it. It was the most, and I drove that car to and from Minnesota, Arizona, 2 or 3 times, cross country, and lived, right? And I drove it through blizzards and whatever, right? So this is old school dad talk, but that thing was basically a plastic roller skate that barely moved, right? Anyway, so I had a huge upgrade in 2012 when I had a really good day job at the time and was celebrating. I'm getting a new car, I'm going wild. I'm getting a Toyota Camry. So not a Lamborghini, but I was at the time. So anyway, now, fast forward a decade plus later, and we have this 2012 Toyota Camry. And so, Toyota Camry, not the Corolla. That's garbage. The Camry's way nicer. Riffing on cars. So anyway, my wife is saying to me this morning, she's like, I think we need a new car. And I was like, why? She's like, well, for the boys, for their safety. And what the lesson here, and I'm overhearing her now on the phone talking to probably her mom or her sister or somebody or a friend about, I'm really worried about the boys when they're driving and the safety features. And what's interesting is she's wanting to make that buying choice based on emotion. right? Because the reality, and this is what we forget in sales, and this is why I'm nerding out on this, because I just love this piece of it. People buy based on emotion. They will later use logic and facts to justify the purchase, but they always buy based on emotion, how it makes you feel. In this case, it's very simple and altruistic. Is my wife, Sarah's got the mother's heart, right? I want my babies to be safe. They're out driving, right? They're teenagers. They just got their licenses. Like, I'd prefer to put them in as safe a car as possible, right? So she wants to upgrade from the 2012 Toyota Camry to a newer, car that has safety features and maybe has a camera or a lane sensor or whatever. Like, and I'm looking at it like old school 80s dad, like, whatever, like they need to learn. And the beauty is, like, the 2012 Camry, the body is totally trash, like, because I'm not a good driver, like, because it didn't have safety cameras. And like, I have scratched that body. Like, I almost tore one of the fenders off trying to back out of the garage. Not like, just because, like, trying to squeeze in and out of tight parking lots and scraping it over the years and just like, forget it, and I'm not going to fix it. So, and it's trash. Like, I don't care. There's garbage in it. There's, whatever. So that's like the perfect teenage car to me. Cause I'm like, that's what I say to my sons all the time when they like bump a curb or, scratch a concrete pillar or something in that car, they're learning to drive. I'm like, dude, this car is already just a trash heap. That's why you're learning on it. That's why you're not driving our good car. Like, you're not allowed to touch that. You're not even allowed to look at the good car. You're not allowed to breathe on it. I want you driving the junk car. And so anyway, my wife always wins, so we're going to get a new car. Like, that's not even, listen, happy wife, happy life. We all know this. And honestly, like, it's the right thing to do. Like, if you can afford it, get a newer car that's safer, that has more safety features. Cause and my wife presented it to me. She's like, do you want your teenage sons who are just learning to drive, would you want them, as safe as possible? I'm like, well, of course, like, she should be in sales. She's like, well, then why wouldn't we upgrade if we have the means to get a safer car, one with lane warnings and cameras or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a Tesla, So I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Right. So again, the whole lesson in this is we buy based on emotion. She's not deciding out of the blue, like, oh, just looking at the stats and pricing, and I just decide I want a new car, right? Because there's literally, if you just look at the cold raw data, there's nothing wrong with our 2012 Camry. It runs great, low mileage. It's a great kind of learning car. We don't care if the kids scrape it or crash into something, but the mom's heart is going to win the emotion. Like, I want my baby safe. Like, just like you'd put training wheels on a bike, right? So that's the key lesson I want to just share in this podcast, just eavesdropping on her, is, don't ever forget that when you are engaging a prospect, whether it's a, new car, whether it's an online course, whether it's a 5 or 6 figure consulting package. Like, I've learned this too, just being in the trenches doing sales every day, is people at the end of the day, even if it's a huge purchase, like a 5-figure, whatever, package done for you, consulting, whatever it is, they're still buying based on how it makes them feel. They're still buying on, will this make me feel better? Will it make me feel excited? Will it make me feel happy? Will it make me feel like I'm solving this big pain and I'm relieved? Will it make me feel like my kids are going to be safer as a result so I can feel good about myself as a parent? Whatever it is, right? Like, at the end of the day, that's why people are buying. They're not buying based on logic. And that's the big fallacy or myth that I had to learn when I first started doing sales was, certainly if I just present all the logic and facts and, why they should get it, they'll buy it. And I was like, this is not working. Whereas opposed to when I got someone emotional and tapped into why they wanted to buy, like the feeling that they were after, then the sale takes care of itself. You know what I mean? And it's like, are you in pain? Yes. Do you want to solve this pain? How would it feel to get out of this pain? How would it feel? So for example, with my LinkedIn Riches and Done For You LinkedIn lead generation service, we have a whole agency now, Nemo Media Group, that does Done For You LinkedIn lead generation. So the simple discussion really is, hey, the question is like, hey, are you looking to generate new leads on LinkedIn? Are you in pain about the situation with your business where you're not bringing in new leads, new clients, you're living only on referrals? How does that make you feel? Oh, it feels terrible because when you live on referrals, when they dry up, you're dead. Like, you don't have a predictable, consistent, source of new business. Like, I just have to pray that referrals keep coming. That's scary. That doesn't feel good. It feels risky, right? So then you go, okay, well, if I could take that pain away, alleviate that risk, make you feel confident and comfortable that, hey, week after week, month after month, I'm going to have a steady, diet of people coming in that are qualified, my ideal buyers, and have the opportunity to close them. How does that make you feel? Oh, super excited, super, energetic. Dan, that's answer to the prayers. Like, that's when people buy, right? And it's a very simple emotional transaction. At the end of the day, now there's all these other things involved of the logistics and how it works and the pricing and the ROI and the who you're targeting and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, people are going to sign up if they feel like, if they have a certain feeling, I guess is what I want to say. Relief, safety, escaping pain, getting excited, whatever it is. And a lot of times people say, I got to do something. Like, I need to make a move. I want to do something that I feel excited about for my business. And it's like, okay, well, you can do this. And, the outcome can be this. And that would definitely deliver that feeling. And people are like, yeah, let's do it. So anyway, there's so many different routes you can go. But I just wanted to share that quick insight. It's so helpful to remember that, just in your everyday life, looking around, realizing that, again, why people buy, they buy when they're emotional. So figure out what those emotional challenges are, what the feeling the person is trying to achieve or relieve is, and work that into the sales conversation and watch what happens. So there you go. All right, thanks so much for listening. Appreciate you, and we'll see you soon on another episode.